it's a very cool movie. I love sci-fi thrillers.
Mm.
You also have two of my favorite actors, you know, starring in it.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
you've worked with, some of the best actors, and the list goes on with Slingshot. So, what was it like working on this kind of cool sci-fi project with Casey Affleck and Laurence Fishburne leading the charge?
I had that script for a while. I had it a few years ago, so it was something that I always had, carried with me. And as it is with some projects, and you do other things in between, and suddenly there an opportunity came to actually do this film, and we needed actors. Casey came on board. We sent it out to some agents that we like that have very good actors, and just try to fish a little bit and see if there was interest. And Casey happened to read this very early on and came back to me. And I didn't know him from before, but and said that he really liked the part and the script and what. So he came on board, and obviously that was great. We had a movie, and we started to prep it, and we needed a couple of more actors. And as it happened, Laurence Fishburne read it on a plane from one set to another somewhere in the world, and he also got really excited about that part, and came back and was, I was very lucky with the cast. I was very lucky with them, and then we casted Tomer Kapon, the Israeli actor that people may know from Fauda and from The Boys,
Yeah.
obviously the US show. And he's now much more famous than he was when I hired him for this film. But and Emily Beecham, the English actress, the great English actress that I worked with before, and knew from before, and I really wanted her in the film as well. So it came together pretty smoothly. The cast, it's a small cast, and then we just had to do the job of shooting it.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So it sounds like, when Tomer came on board, like the boys was either it hadn't started yet, or it was early on in the show,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah, early on, yeah. So I wasn't very familiar with either the show or with Tomer, so I looked at some actors for that. But when I saw him in some Israeli films he made, and found and really liked his aura, and thought that he could be a great third passenger on this ship.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was great. I mean, yeah, I'm such a fan. I know him from The Boys. I've seen the
Yeah,
whole show.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
It's a
would,
good show. I've seen more of it now.
yeah, yeah. So I was excited, you
Yeah.
see Casey and Lawrence's name, on this movie, but then when you watch and you see him, you're like, oh, awesome. Because
Yeah,
yeah,
and it could be intimidating for any younger actor to come in, in being on a spaceship with Casey Affleck and Laurence Fishburne, but obviously, but Tomer came in and he really found his place, and we had a really, it was a good collaboration, and everybody was sort of chipping in. It was fun.
yeah, yeah, it's great. And yeah, the wonderful performances by everyone. And I also
Yeah.
love, I always, with these kinds of movies, like the set design, the spaceships.
Mm.
So could you talk a little bit about, what went into, your vision for, the layout of this ship, and, it feeling sort of kind of maybe how the claustrophobic feel kind of helped fuel the thriller, psychological elements and all that. If
Yeah, I mean that's a few years ago I made a film called 1408,
Oh yeah.
Stephen King, and we had the same challenge, even bigger challenge there, because 80% of the film takes place in a hotel suite,
Right.
and we had to put a lot. Me and the production designer at that time had to put a lot of work into how do we sort of create this room. A few years ago, I made another movie called Escape Plan with Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and worked with a production designer, Barry Shusey. Barry is a great production designer. He makes a lot of big movies, like The Day After Tomorrow,
Right.
these kinds of $100 million movies. But when we got this film going, Slingshot, I called up Barry and said he was busy in LA shooting some big film for Netflix. But I said, can you please take a look at this? Can you please help me design this spaceship, because I really needed one who understood, what this was about. So he said yes to that, and did it sort of while he was doing this other film, and it worked out greatly. And and I, you can make it, you can make this, you can think about, when it comes to the sort of outer design of it, it's I didn't want it to be like cyberpunk and sort of chains hanging, and that's great. That's another, more like alien-esque kind of world. We wanted this to be slick and as little things as possible, not a lot of wires everywhere and shit, but just clean, and so to make it an interesting stage for these actors to play out their anxieties and what have you. So and also an area where we could find new angles, and that will be the constantly surprising, so it doesn't get boring either to shoot or to watch, and so that was the general attitude towards this spaceship. Obviously, we looked at a lot of what is space design looks like today, but we also, this is not a documentary, but we obviously took lessons from what's going on in our time.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense. That's very interesting. And you mentioned 1408. I remember renting that movie, the video store, when I was little, and watching it at home. Oh yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, I'm such a Stephen King fan, and I thought that movie was wonderful. And I was curious, did you ever hear from Stephen King?
Yeah,
The movie came
yeah,
out?
yeah. I talked to Stephen while we were shooting, before we were starting to shoot, and he was great. He was very respectful. He read the script that that obviously we build out from the short story.
Mhm.
And then he didn't want to have any involvement in the film at all. And then after it was done, we shipped it to Maine, where he lives, and he set it up in his local cinema, and they saw it, and he was like, he was really happy about it, and I was very relieved.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was the first and toughest audience we had, and he's been really nice about the film throughout the years when he talks about his films and films that have been made from his stuff, and he always talked very fondly of 1408. So just good things to say about Stephen King.
Well, that's great. Yeah. No, that's nice to hear. I'm not surprised he liked it. I mean, a lot of people did, and yeah, that was a good one. And so that's great. And for you, I mean, I was curious if, if you've seen other Stephen King films over the years that you're a fan of, that whether you've read the book and then seen the movie, or maybe you saw an adaptation, another one that you particularly liked.
Yeah, I mean, there is some obviously that's part of film history and part of Stephen King film history.
Right.
Obviously, The Shining,
Yeah.
you can't get around The Shining. Whatever Stephen King thinks about it, it's hard. It's also about a writer who goes insane, just like Cusack does but different canvas there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the films that I remember strongly when I saw it the first time and really made an impression on me is I think it's the first film based on his books. It's Brian De Palma's Carrie from
Oh yeah.
1976, and with Sissy Spacek. That was, I was a teenager then, and I saw that, made a big impression on me, and became a big De Palma fan after that, and all his great films from the 70s and in those days, Dress to Kill and so on. So yeah, yeah, those are a couple of Stephen King films that I think. Also, Misery is a good one. It's kind of
Oh
a
yeah.
different genre, but it's a very entertaining movie.
Yeah, I agree. I read that book as well, Misery.
Yeah, I read it too. Yeah, I read
The
Carrie
book,
Underwood.
yeah, the book's even darker, he's like,
Yeah, no, I know. It's interesting to see what happens when they venture from the page to the screen, but it's there are so many films based on his books, so and I haven't seen all of them, and I haven't read all his books, but there is a few good ones for sure.
yeah, I know, I feel like the list is never ending, so
Yeah, no, totally.
But great, yeah, I mean, but yes, like, you know, I just want to say congratulations again on Slingshot. I thought it was wonderful, and
Thank you.
I can't wait for everyone else to see it. So thank you for
Thank
taking the time to chat with me.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you for taking your time too.
Of
Okay.
course. Yeah, let's do it on the next one.
See, talk to you next film.
Yes, exactly. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.